One Piece Chapter 1110 might well be one of the most anticipated chapters in the entirety of the Egghead Island arc, given the severity of the situation on this particular island right now. Currently, the Egghead Island arc is in its very climax, with Luffy currently fighting against Saturn and Kizaru having been knocked out of the picture. The battle is now even more intense, especially now that a few intriguing individuals have joined the battlefield as well. Fans are incredibly excited to see what happens next, and what path Oda takes next for Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirate crew at the same time. One Piece Chapter 1110 is going to be incredibly exciting, and one that is going to be certainly worth the wait. The five elders take their devil fruit forms. Towards the end of the previous chapter, fans got to see Luffy dominating Saturn and Kizaru in battle. While Luffy had taken this form, he was strong enough to hold back both Kizaru and Saturn at the same time. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that, together, Kizaru and Saturn are stronger than one Emperor of the Sea, and despite that, Luffy is toying with them and holding them at bay. Neither Kizaru nor Saturn are able to break free from Luffy completely dominating the battlefield. At the same time, Vegapunk's announcement was going to take place in 10 minutes, as seen in the previous chapter, which meant that the five elders were desperate to stop the announcement from happening. As a result, Saturn managed to summon all the remaining elders to Egghead, and now Luffy is faced with all five of them together. The very first thing that One Piece Chapter 1110 is going to focus on is going to be the devil fruit forms of the five elders. Fans know that Saturn is an Ushi Oni, and one of the strongest individuals in the entire world of One Piece. Similarly, all the other elders have their monstrous transformations as well, and they will most likely show up in front of Luffy in the upcoming chapter. Given that Saturn immediately took to his demonic form when he used the summoning circle to appear on Egghead a dozen chapters ago, it would make sense to assume that the other elders are going to be taking their devil fruit forms as well. As such, One Piece Chapter 1110 is going to be absolutely incredible, as it is going to focus on the devil fruit transformation of these elders, and give the fans a glimpse of what forms they truly hold deep down. Luffy versus the five elders. One Piece Chapter 1110 is most certainly going to focus on Luffy's battle against the five elders. In the previous chapter, Luffy was dominating the fight against Saturn and Kizaru, and while it is expected for Luffy to hold back one or even two of the five elders, taking on all five at the same time is something that he cannot do easily. Still, Luffy, being as strong as he is, will most likely try to fight back against them and utilize his powers to the fullest extent. Fans will most definitely see Luffy attempt to use the maximum available powers that he has. This means Luffy will finally start making use of Advanced Conqueror's Haki in battle, and this is one aspect of power that he doesn't seem to be utilizing all that often. Utilizing this power might even hold the key to damaging the five elders. As seen previously, Luffy could not damage Saturn, no matter what he did. All his attacks are very strong, and he even surpasses Saturn in terms of physical prowess or devil fruit ability. However, despite all that, whatever he does simply does not faze the elder. This means Saturn has unlimited regeneration. However, there certainly has to be a catch to it. Perhaps, the secret to breaking through is the Conqueror's Haki infusion technique. Dory and Broggy join the battle. Luffy will most likely struggle fighting against all five elders at the same time. This is an undeniable fact that fans need to accept at this point in the story. For Luffy, taking on all five elders at the same time is not possible. In fact, no character in One Piece can face all five elders at the same time and expect to win the battle. These unreasonable expectations should not be placed on Luffy either. As such, One Piece Chapter 1110 will most certainly see Luffy receiving some backup in this fight, because otherwise, there is absolutely no way that he's going to be able to win the fight that he is currently involved in. To that end, fans know that backup in the form of Dory and Broggy is currently on the way, and these two giants will most likely appear to help Luffy against the five elders. Of course, Sanji is also not too far away from Luffy. However, he currently has Vegapunk in his hands, and he simply cannot give up on him to join the battle against the elders. It would make sense for Sanji to first drop Vegapunk at the decided meetup point, and then head back into battle. For now, that doesn't seem to be all that likely, which which means that Dory and Borgie are going to be the main form of support that Luffy will receive, possibly in One Piece Chapter 1110. With that, a 3 versus 5 battle will most likely commence on Egghead, with the tide still being in the favor of the 5 elders, given that Dory and Borgie are not all that powerful. The Egghead escape plan continues. Right now, things on Egghead look incredibly dire, and it is impossibly difficult for Luffy to take on everyone by himself. As such, the best thing that Luffy can do right now is to stay behind on Egghead, while allowing the crew, as well as Vegapunk, to escape. Luffy will most likely decide on this in the upcoming chapters of the story. Dory and Borgie will most likely stay behind with him, and the giant pirates will be captained by none other than Oimo and Kashi in the meantime. There is a big possibility that the Straw Hat Pirates might have to leave Egghead without Luffy, given that if Luffy decides to run back to the ship here, all the elders will inevitably attack everyone, and this will lead to loss of life. Luffy needs to stay behind to hold these powerful monsters at bay, and Dory and Borgie will most likely aid him in doing that. As such, fans might see Luffy issuing a command to his group to hurry up and make preparations for an escape without him, which would make sense given the dire circumstances that they are in at the moment. And in other news, One Piece. Has Saint Saturn been disappointing? One Piece's final saga advanced the plot in quite a lot of incredible ways, and one of the most exciting aspects of the story was the world government getting more involved in the ongoing events. Of course, the likes of the 5 elders were characters that fans always had their eyes on. At some point in the story, they expected these powerful individuals to get involved in the story and showcase their worth. Finally, the final saga answered the prayers of the fans, and the 5 elders became an integral part of the story, revealing their strength at the Reverie. First of all, with that, Saint Saturn, one of the elders, quickly followed suit as he joined the Egghead Island arc as its main antagonist. While fans were incredibly excited for Saturn's performance on Egghead, a lot of them now have mixed feelings in regards to the strength of this character. Saturn's arrival on Egghead. Saint Saturn was surprisingly revealed to be on one of the ships that was heading to Egghead Island. While this was a surprise to the fans at first, the reasoning behind this surprise visit to Egghead made a lot of sense. Vegapunk, the genius Navy scientist, had an army of 50 Mark III pacifistas, along with 4 seraphims, with him on Egghead. Given that Vegapunk himself was the highest authority for all of these pacifistas, it makes a lot of sense why he believed that he could survive the Egghead incident. However, to counter that, Saturn decided to head to the island himself. Given that the 5 elders hold the highest authority when it comes to the pacifistas, he would simply be able to turn the tides on Vegapunk easily, and then Kizaru and the Marines would be able to do their job properly. As such, while this was initially a surprise to the fans, it made quite a lot of sense when looking at things from a broader perspective. When Saturn arrived on Egghead, he did not engage in combat immediately. In fact, quite a lot of the fans did not even expect him to join battle. However, later on the line, he decided to take things into his own hands and enter the war himself. Saturn's powers. Saint Saturn revealed his powers to the fans around midway through the Egghead Island arc. Shortly before Kuma's flashback began, Saturn summoned himself onto the island when he realized that things were going out of control for the Marines. By using a strange and demonic summoning circle, Saturn arrived on the island, and then he immediately took the form of his giant devil fruit appearance. While a proper name for his devil fruit form was not given to the fans, it was made quite clear that Saint Saturn possessed the ability of the Ushi Oni, yokai from Japanese folklore. The Ushi Oni has the upper half of an ox and the lower half of a spider. That is precisely what Saturn looks like. At the same time, Saturn also had other powerful abilities up his sleeve. Saint Saturn's most dangerous power was the ability to cause great damage to his enemies simply by looking at them. When Saturn gleamed at his enemies, they immediately looked like they were hit by something very powerful and started bleeding. In fact, even the likes of Luffy and Sanji were made to bleed with this powerful attack of his, which goes to show its incredible potency. Saturn Saturn could also use another invisible force to hold down his enemies in one place. Using the power of this invisible force, even someone as strong as a Yonko commander would be nailed to their places. Above all, the most annoying ability that Saturn has up his sleeve is his incredible regeneration. Saturn appears to be capable of regenerating from anything and everything that is thrown at him. No matter how much he's beaten or how much his body is destroyed, it simply regenerates itself as if he wasn't even scratched to begin with. These are very formidable abilities that Saturn has showcased in One Piece so far. At the same time, Saturn also showcased his full spider transformation in One Piece Chapter 1108. On top of the abilities that he already has, in the full spider transformation, Saturn can coat himself in a very highly venomous substance. This substance can simply burn through anything, and it is highly likely that taking a hit from this will be deadly and potentially kill in one shot. Saturn can also make his legs work like whips and try to hit his target at an incredibly fast speed, which is nothing short of impressive. Clearly, Saint Saturn is a powerful individual and one that holds tremendous strength up his sleeve. However, at this point, despite all the strength that Saturn has, fans have been somewhat disappointed by this character showing on Egghead Island. Saturn showing on Egghead Island. Saint Saturn has showcased quite a lot of incredible powers in the Egghead Island arc already, but his showing has been somewhat disappointing to look at. This is because when he was first introduced, he immediately started fighting against the likes of the Straw Hat Pirates and the others who were around him, such as Vegapunk. While he was able to hold them down efficiently in battle, Kuma arrived on ahead shortly after, and he delivered a powerful punch to Saturn that dealt tremendous damage to him. This punch hurt Saturn grievously and sent him flying across the island. Later down the line, when Luffy joined the battle, he did something similar to Saturn, and once again sent him flying. In One Piece Chapter 1108, Luffy was able to hold Saturn in the grasp of his hand, preventing him from moving entirely. When one takes all this into consideration, it is easy to see why many think that Saturn has been somewhat disappointing. However, one needs to broaden their perspective here to look at things. Both moments where Saturn was heavily damaged were highly situational. When Kuma injured Saturn, it was simply because Kuma absolutely had to do this for the narrative's sake. At the same time, the power of love that was flowing through Kuma's body made him much stronger as well. In the case of Luffy, once again, he had to showcase attacks to Bonnie, and as such, it made narrative sense for him to send Saturn flying. Despite that, Saturn did injure Luffy before he was actually sent flying. Clearly, both of the situations were situational, and Saturn only took heavy damage because these moments were designed to serve the narrative purpose of Egghead. That said, Luffy still appears to be overwhelmingly stronger than Saturn, which puts into perspective how strong the Five Elders truly are. When compared to the likes of the Admirals, it appears that the Five Elders are stronger. However, when compared to the likes of the Yonko, the Five Elders might not be stronger than them. After all, for now, Saturn does not look like he's stronger than Luffy, or any other Yonko aside from Buggy, for that matter. However, he could still have some trump cards up his sleeve that would push him above the level of the Yonko. Still, he does appear to be stronger than the likes of the Admirals, and that is impressive on its own. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing videos very soon.